Morning. Remember the 5th of November. It's the 5th of November today. And it's a really busy day ahead of us, but the first thing on the list is to go and pick up some manure and potting compost from the allotment shop around the corner. So that is where we are heading first. Then we'll go and drop it off at the allotment. Then we've got to head over to Twickenham. It's all go. It's all go. Okay, I hope the wind isn't getting to you. It hasn't been windy for, oh dear, it hasn't been windy for ages. Today it feels really stormy, which is quite exciting. But what is more exciting than a bit of a storm is a cabbage. I hear you all shouting. Well, you know, we've got those Savoy cabbages which are kind of coming along quite nicely. Well, we have never actually successfully grown a Savoy cabbage before. Lots of attempts, but quite sporadic attempts. Like, it's not one of those things that we try and grow every year and never get, like a Swede. Swedes are like that. We get the occasional year where they're brilliant, and then the rest of the time they just look like cigars sticking out of the ground and they're gross. But we have never really successfully grown a Savoy cabbage, and this year we have 6 that have actually formed heads. Okay, some of them are only the size of a cricket ball, but a couple of them are a decent size. And what with it being bonfire night, Johanna is coming over for lunch before we go out and watch some fireworks. So I'm going to make some soup. We've got quite a lot of the big tomatoes already. I'm going to make tomato, cabbage, bacon, beans, that kind of autumn soup. And it is the moment of picking our first successful Savoy cabbage. Yeah. Right, we are going for the biggest one, which is this one right here, in the hope that some of the smaller ones will actually kind of develop into size. But come on, oh, deep breath. This is exciting. Oh yeah. Look at that. Oh wow. Oh wow. Oh, you're wobbly. Too exciting, sorry. Look at this absolute mega monster. Well, it's not a mega monster. In fact, it's a very petite little cabbage, but I couldn't actually be any happier with that. Like, it's proper solid. Whoa. Am I gonna kiss the cabbage? I think I'm gonna kiss the cabbage. Mwah. Oh, it was quite gritty.
I'm happy.
Oh, and Mum's had her hair cut. If you take your little clip out, you can see. Look at that. A haircut and a cabbage. What more could somebody want?
Ready? There we go. Oh, move them all over her back.
Okay, stage 1 complete. We are now off to Twickenham, actually. 2 things. We're going to go and have a look at some lights at a lighting place, because the lights in the kitchen, everything always goes wrong in the kitchen. No, but we've got the 2 ceiling lights in the kitchen, and I've disliked them for their entire time that they've been in the kitchen. But the other problem with them, other than me disliking them, is that the bulbs are like ring bulbs and they cost a fortune every time we have to replace them. So we decided to go for a different lighting system, but can't make our minds up. So we're going to have a look at that. Then I've got some things to collect from the clay garden, and then it's back to cook lunch. Whew. Okay, lights looked at. I think we know what we're going to do now. And get some like flat discs, and they looked all right in there, so I think we will go with them. Next up, back into the other side of Twickenham. Good afternoon. Oh, sorry, I'm just trying to get in the greenhouse while I'm chatting to you. Check the spiders. What was I going to say? Oh, yes. So, Mum was up here briefly earlier and she told me that things have actually started going yellow. So, I don't know how many of you listened to Potty Mouth, but we recorded that 2 days ago, 3 days ago. I've got no idea what day it is. 2 days ago. And I was bemoaning the fact that I really do think that a lot of these chilies aren't going to go. And the one that I thought I wasn't going to get any from was my lemon ahi, my hot lemon. And lo and behold, I'd given up and one's gone yellow. You can see that actually there's quite a bit of colour sort of starting to appear. But look at this. Look at this. It's yellow. It's yellow. So coming in down here, we've got a couple of these guys that have gone orange. Can you see that? Yes. Still not a lot going on here. Can't see anything happening on there yet. But we've got now 3 boot jolokia that are red, scary times. And down here, we've got a proper red pepper. I mean, there's loads of these guys, and we have actually just been eating them green. But yeah, one has actually gone red, and you can see this one's starting to go too. So yeah, I'm actually really chuffed. I'm just about to photograph that lemon ahi and send it to the chaps on the WhatsApp group. Well, I'm in here. I'm going to pick that yellow, and I'm going to pick one of the boot jolokias, and I'm also going to pick another couple of the white aubergines for dinner tonight. Yeah, it's not too bad. I tell you what, like, it is a very grey, miserable day. So I've just nipped up here really fast. Okay, I better go and get some snips actually. This is the one, Mum.
All right, okay, that's the hot one.
All the rest of these are pretty safe. Well, the aubergine's very safe, obviously.
There we go.
Yeah, so this is the one that we are worried about. That's the boot jolokia, one of the first of the kind of proper hot chilies out there. Ooh, very scary. Just picked a load up. I was going to pick chard, but a bit limited on chard, and we've got tons of mustard greens and they sort of do the same job. So, yep, chilies and mustard greens and an aubergine. On that note, I know we've only been up here for probably about 6 minutes, but we're heading off. It was a flying visit. Morning! It is actually quite early, unusually for me. It's about 9 o'clock. I know that's not that early, but you know. We're actually up here initially because we've got a dump booking. So all these bags of stuff we've been filling up, like all the broken pots and all that kind of stuff that we can't compost or turn into some kind of bug refuge, is all going to the dump this morning. So we should be a little bit clearer at this end. So Mum is currently doing a couple of trips with the wheelbarrow back and forth, and then she's going to head off and do that. And I'm going to stay here because that compost that we picked up the other day, I'm going to do a bit of mulching. I'm going to do the, I was going to say the apricot. I'm not going to do the apricot. It's pointless. Apricot dead. I'm going to do the fig, the cherry, the pear and the rhubarb. And I'm not sure how much of it that's going to take up, but if I've got enough, I will do some on the mulberry as well. So that's going to be kind of getting the fruit trees. I've got 2 apple trees down here. that I haven't quite worked out what I'm going to do with yet, because they've got a lot of like small stuff planted around under the bottom of them, so which includes some cyclamen that are currently in flower, so now is not really the time to be mulching them, so I might have to do them a little bit later in the winter. And then the other job that I've got to do today is sow some broad beans, so I'm just going to update my list, and then we'll get on with it. Little tip for you here. If you're going to set up one of these blackboards in your shed, which I highly recommend, because, you know, it's great. I've just nailed a little, can you see that in the camera? Yeah. I've nailed a little plastic cup to the bottom here where I keep the chalk. Now, the slight problem is that my fingers don't reach the bottom of that cup. So my advice to you would be use something shallow to keep your chalk in, because that's useless. Where's my sponge? Here. Okay, all of this is done. Done, sort of done. Oh, bloody hell. This compost is soaking wet. About 4 times as heavy as when I brought it here. Right. Oh, bugger. More digging has been happening. This is underneath the pear tree. You can see, look, all my beautiful daff bulbs have been whipped out, so I'll get them back in. You see there's a big hole down there. I'll get them back in and then mulch this over. There's quite a few Californian poppies in here. Actually, there was more Californian poppies than there is now that the ground has been turned over. But I'm going to clear this. There's a bit of rocket, chop that back so it's ready to go again, and mulch the rest of it. Same goes for underneath the cherry tree, except there's been no digging under there. But we've got some really beautiful daffs under this particular tree. So I'm hoping that they haven't been too disturbed, because they've been coming up for years. So that would be poo if they have been fatally disturbed. They still look intact, like they've still got root attached, but you can see they're just starting to do something at the top. So, oh, that's annoying. Oh well, another annoying thing. That's all gardening is, isn't it? I mean, it's the majority of the mulching done up that side. Oh, don't trip over. It's a chicken. Yes, I've done obviously the cherry and the pear and the rhubarb, the new rhubarb. The fig does need doing, and so does the mulberry, but we've got quite a lot of work to do underneath the fig. It's risen up. So with the other ones, we've got obviously the bricks or the slabs kind of around them in a circle to kind of keep the grass out. And there's a bit of a gap, so we can mulch into that. But the fig tree has got a lot of moss in it because there's a lot of bulbs under there and the moss has grown up over the top. And actually there's nowhere to put it. So we're going to have to do a bit of excavation in there and kind of see what we can do with the bulbs and what's coming up and what's not. Anyway, basically it's a longer job than I've got time for today. So we've left that one. So I think I still deserve a fully crossed off thing on the to-do list. Next up is the broad beans though. Now I brought broad beans with me. Miraculously, we've actually got some ready to go. Bit of forethought there. Actually, it wasn't my forethought. They came from Ian at Grown Local. He's got good forethought. I'm going to put these into, talking of Ian, those outstanding root trainers from last year. Do you remember? And in fact, from earlier this year. The ones that are like, hang on, I'll show you my old ones. Do you remember these? Like classic old root trainers. I mean, these are flimsy as all hellfire, but we have been using it. We've had these for years and years and years, and they do last, but they are very, very flimsy, and now they're kind of on their last legs. But got an upgraded version from Grown Local, which are in the netting shed, I believe. So I'm going to go and see if I can find them. I'm pretty sure when we had the clear out in here, we put them on the shelving unit. And we did. It's actually quite rare that I think I know where I've stashed something and I open the door and it's actually there. So that's these guys in this corner here. These are the little dwarfies and these are the big boys. Come on. Oh, bugger. Sorry. Get that one back in there. That's these chaps. So the point of root trainers, if you've been watching for a while, this will be old news to you, but root trainers are like a two-sided pot that when you've grown your plants, this is very difficult to do one-handed, however, they come apart like that so that you can pull your plant out without damaging the roots. These long ones are particularly good for, hang on, I'm being attacked by netting. Close the door. Go on, stay in there. These long ones with the really long pots are particularly good for legumes. So I start my broad beans, which is what I'm about to do now in here. I start my French beans, my runner beans, because they have a really, really long root and they like to not be disturbed once they've got going. So these are absolutely perfect for that. But these are going to be filled with broad beans. Can you give me a hand to put the bench back up? After it's, oh, throw my broad beans. Yeah, the two little ones go. I think we've still got the marks on the floor actually, so we should get them in the right place. There and just about there. Right. And then this one, I should be able to get it up if you make sure they don't fall over. This one should just go straight in. Perfect. Actually, could we move, if you take that edge and just move it to the outer edge? Yeah. And that one's already there, I think. Perfect. Wonderful. Thank you very much. Right, I've got to mix up some compost. I'm pretty sure I've got half a bucket of mixed compost in here already. Which I do. I'm just going to top it up with the new bag of Silver Grow that I bought at the shop, the allotment shop. Have I got it over there? Yes, I have. Lovely. Unfortunately, I don't have any vermiculite. Normally I would mix vermiculite in with my compost mix, but I've run out and I forgot to buy some, so that's going to be this weekend. Right, get this waterlogged manure off. Silver bowl. What did I do with my hori? Still up there. Of course it is. I'd never carry it with me, would I? No. Try not to knock the flimsy table over. Oh, just tip compost everywhere. Just see, that's brilliant. Well done. Fantastic. Okay. The compost that I already had in here was some of our own from the compost bin and a bit of, I think it was something I had like used, you know, like something which has already had one go. Something was growing in it and I've emptied the compost. So it's a mixture of super rich compost, our own, and one that's already been used once, so a bit spent. Okay, I think that's probably adequately mixed. Fab. Always a good idea to wear a pale coloured jumper at the allotment. Okay, these all clip together. One thing about root trainers, however much I love them, they sure do take a lot of compost. Now I'm just trying to think how many of these I'm actually going to do. So last year, I think I just did, I've got space for 9. They're going in the bed that's got like the permanent bean structure on it, which is where I grew the outdoor tomatoes. This, I say grew the outdoor tomatoes, this is where I planted the outdoor tomatoes. The fact that they didn't grow is another point entirely, but I'm just trying to think how many I did. I only did 9 because that's how many spaces I've got up there. But you know what? I've got quite a hefty packet here. Oh, decisions. I'm going to put compost in this whole thing because it's a pest to try and put it in after you've already sown some stuff. So it'll be all set to go. And then I'm going to sow half of it, or just over half of it, with the beans now, and have it set to go to plant another half of the beans in a couple of weeks' time. When you're going to be overwintering things like that, planting them a couple of weeks apart obviously doesn't make much difference, but it's more because I'm worried that if they all come up and then they get slugged, at least then I've got a second chance to get some more in, rather than it being like succession sowing to change the time they're going to be ready. I'm just thinking I might hedge my bets by doing half and then seeing. I'm going to do that. Right, I wasn't giving myself a clap there, sorry, I was just trying to get the soil off my hands. I realised that sounded a little bit self-congratulatory. Once again, it's Agua Dulce, Claudia, absolute classic overwintering broad bean. There's loads of different varieties of broad bean, but a lot of them are spring sowers. Right, it is a case of 1 bean per cell, and I put them on their edge and force them into the compost that way, down to about that sort of depth. And I'm doing them on their side for 2 reasons. Firstly, you can really force them into the compost when they're on their side, as opposed to doing it that way where you're likely to maybe break the bean, you know, really pushing it in. But equally, if it's like this, you tend to get water pooling on the surface of it and it can rot out much more easily. Whereas if you've got them up on their side, they don't tend to rot. Right, what do I need? 2 more? Oh, I've got loads. Thanks, Ian. Talking of thanks, Ian. I'll put the link to these on his website in the show notes. I say show notes, that makes it sound like a podcast, but you know what I mean, the description of the vlog underneath, where I put my links to things that I've mentioned in the video. There we go. I'm going to start with those, and then if we have a disaster with slugs or whatever, I've got space to put some more in and beans spare. Lovely nip. I think I'm going to just try and use up some of this that I've spilt on the top. I'm sure I just saw a pencil on the floor. I did. Ooh. Something that's also quite good in this kind of fancier root trainer is that the other ones have no reservoir of their own, so they're just loose, so they have to go in these big trays, whereas this one's kind of self-contained, you know, it's got its own little reservoir in it. So talking of watering, where's my watering can? There it is, got nothing in it. Marvellous. Let's try that again. Fab. Fab, fab, fab. Starting to pack up.
I'm just tidying.
I know we put it somewhere really safe, didn't we? That we thought this is a good spot. It's not in here. Okay, the final thing I need to do before we head off today, feels like it's going to rain, so we're beating a bit of a retreat, but I need to pick broccoli, basil, and minutina. Okay, have I got the secateurs? Yes, I have. These ones we've left a little bit long actually. They've got, oh, drop that one. In fact, did I just chop a leaf off? Where's the broccoli gone? Am I going mad? Oh, I've got it in my hand. Yes, I'm going mad. These ones are really good and stout, and as you can see, a couple of these we've left a bit long, but they'll still be edible and delicious. Let's do that one too. That one. That's a good one. Proper chuffed with that. You alright, girlies? Scissors away, girls. Are you ready for some corn, do you think? Okay, I'm all done. Everything's picked.
Everything's good.
Everything's good. Get my bag. Okay, got an egg. Right, are we ready to go?
Ready to go.
We've got our basket. Let me just show you. We've got some bags of stuff in here, but look, that is a very satisfying basket to be taking home with us. Ready? Okay, this has been a long time coming. We're actually going to taste like a selection of the tomatoes that we grew this year. Do you know what? These have been ready. The first thing, I had to wait for them to ripen up, which is why it was a bit like we didn't do it when we first picked them, but they ripened up like 2-3 weeks ago. We have had not a single day of sunshine for 2 weeks. And it's been so great that you just couldn't film in here. Because you know we went looking for lights earlier. Well, that is because the lights in the ceiling in the kitchen, one of them was blown. So it's just really dark in here. So we've had to wait for a bit of sunshine, and I'm incredibly pleased to say that today we have blue skies. It's not bright sunshine, but it's not dark grey. So we are trying tomatoes. I'll be able to get Mum in here so we can try them together in a second. But the ones that we're going to taste are, we have pork chop, atomic fusion, black strawberry, Alice's dream, Sergeant Pepper, green doctor, black moon, Japanese black truffelli, bliss, sun gold, garnet, and black beauty. Okay, we have taster number 2 in action. So half of these we've had previously, like other years. So sun gold, garnet, green doctor, Japanese black truffelli, and pork chop, and Alice's dream. Like, we've had them before. So it's always good to have ones in there that you do know and ones you don't. And ones we don't know are Sergeant Pepper, black strawberry, atomic fusion, bliss, and black moon. So when you've got some that you do know and some that you don't, it kind of gives you a bit of a kind of a marker for, so you've got a better scale basically. But remembering that this year has been a very poor year for tomato flavour wise, and all of these have not ripened on the vine, they've ripened in the conservatory. So that's all the caveats out the way. Which one do you want to start with?
I'd like to start with Black Moon.
Black Moon is number 1. What do you think of that? Decent.
It's nice.
It's nice. It's actually a really nice texture. It's crunchy. It's juicy.
Very tomatoey, if you know what I mean.
And a really good tomato flavour. Comparing that, I'd like to try that with black strawberry because they look very similar, but I don't know what they taste. Well, that's sour.
Much more floury too.
Yeah.
The texture's not as nice.
That's interesting. So both of those were a small, round, dark-topped tomato. Not a cherry, but like bigger than a cherry. And both really, really prolific. And I'd say they kind of occupy the same sort of space in the greenhouse. And Black Moon blows black strawberry out the water on flavour and texture, I think.
Yes,
would you agree? Okay, so Black Moon is a big tick for next year. Where would you like to go next? Do a run of cherries?
Yeah. Yep. Okay.
Start with Green Doctor?
Yep. Very light.
Very light in flavour. And I remember from last year, that one came out really top on flavour.
Yeah.
It was a really great one. So I think we'll do Green Doctor next year anyway. But I wouldn't say that was a great example of it. Bliss. That is a great tasting tomato.
Quite different, isn't it?
Really different. Loads of flavour. Really fresh. Oh, I mean, that's just a great tomato. We've been having them in salads, and that Bliss one stands out so well. And often yellow tomatoes are a bit flavourless, but that one's a winner. Sun Gold.
We know this one, don't we?
This is interesting because this is normally really sweet. And it is really sweet. Not anywhere near as normal.
No, but it's not sweeter than all the others.
Still recognisably sweeter than the rest. But as a marker of this year's lacking tomato flavourlessness, that is the big one, because normally that's just like in your face and a bit mild.
Garnet.
And Garnet.
We know this one too, don't we?
Again, really washed out flavour. So do you fancy trying Atomic Fusion?
We haven't had this one.
We've never had this one before. We've grown Atomic Grape for a good couple of years now, but this is Atomic Fusion, which is supposed to be an improved version in terms of how it grows, because Brad's Atomic Grape can be a little bit weedy and you don't get a lot of fruit from it. How's that?
I like the texture of it.
Oh, really strange flavour, actually. It's like grass.
Nice.
Do you know what? I reckon if you gave that to me in a blind tasting, I wouldn't even know that was a tomato.
It's a nice texture, though.
Back to one we know.
Which is that?
Japanese Black.
Yes, okay.
This is the Japanese Black Truffelli. Still really big depth of flavour in that, but it's lacking the sweetness that it normally has. But it's still got a good, like, it's not a one-dimensional tomato flavour, is it?
I like that.
Oh, it's good. And really good texture. Japanese Black for cooking and slicing, absolute winner. Same with Black Beauty. Do we want to try this one?
We've tried this one before.
We've grown
this
one before, but not particularly successfully. We're lacking flavour across the board here, chaps. Trying to pick out like how you imagine that they would taste in a better year. Like trying to pick little bits of the flavour out.
More floury, so I think that's probably...
Yeah, but nothingness. So the three we've got left is Alice's Dream, which was the one that came out absolutely on top last year. Pork Chop and Sergeant Pepper. Now, I'm really sad about the Alice's Dream because there were two that were quite similar. It was called Start Relays and Alice's Dream, and I really wanted to do a taste comparison between the two, but none of the Start Relays ripened up. And also, I don't think it was a fair year to do a taste test. So we're going to do both of them again next year. Do you want to try Alice's Dream? Bit slimy.
That's the texture, though, isn't it?
I feel like this is a very inconclusive and slightly waste of time tasting, but still. Just this one's Sergeant Pepper, so this is a new one for this year.
I wonder if it's because they were ripened off the vine that they don't. The texture.
It's not right, is it? There's just something wrong with all of them, and there has been all year with the tomatoes. The texture was a bit weird on that, wasn't it?
Let's go with this one.
Yeah, let's go for this one. This is Pork Chop.
We had this one last year, didn't we?
I mean, that still tastes good. Pork Chop's a real winning tomato, I think. Considering the level of tomatoiness there, that still tastes good. And it's a big tomato, but it doesn't have a really soft, floury sort of texture.
Right.
So, of all of those, obviously we've got to make some decisions for next year.
I like this one, though.
Black Moon has come out really well there, but no real knockout flavour, which is going to make it really difficult for next year because we had, can't remember how many varieties I had seed for this year. It was something like was in the 50s, wasn't it? And we narrowed it down to 35 that we were going to do this year. And with the idea being that we would narrow it down from that point and kind of get rid of the ones which didn't kind of cut the mustard. Well, unfortunately, 0 tomatoes have cut the mustard this year. So we are no wiser than we were last year. Now, the question is, do you want to try a bit of that boot jalocchia while we're at it?
What's the boot jalocchia?
The chili.
Oh, go on, you. A tiny bit.
The tiniest bit. Come on, let's do it. Let's do it. I'm not going to give us any pith. That bit? Is that enough?
Yep, I'll try and see.
And I'll have
You
a
think it's
bit.
going to be really hot, do you?
I think it's going to be really hot. So, right, this is going to be the tasting of the boot jalocchia. As you can see, we've got
What are you
teeny...
going to do with it? Just put it
I'm going to
in the
eat it. I wasn't going to rub it on my eyebrows.
It really gets stronger and stronger after you put it in, but I like the flavour though.
Really nice flavour. It's almost citrusy, isn't it? That's hot, but I'm not going to die.
No, it was a Chinese.
It was a very small amount, and I can feel it.
Yes, but gee, they're really
What a
tasty.
delicious... Oh, okay, so tomatoes can bugger off. It's all about the chilies, and that one was delicious. So yeah, a couple of winners there, but most of them, I think, it wouldn't be fair to judge them on this year. So, but boot jalocchia, what a beautiful tasting pepper. It was hot. It was genuinely hot, but such a good taste. Like that initial, when you bit into it, it was fruity and bright. Really, really nice. Really nice. Anyway, this is my end. Cheers, except that this is a cup of coffee because I'm about to go out and see Hannah. Do you remember Hannah? She's the girl that we did Hampton Court with and BBC Gardeners World Live, and she used to do YouTubey things. Basically, yes, she is down from Newcastle, so I'm going to go up to Waterloo and meet her for a pint. So we will cheers you from there. But yeah, what did we get done this week? I mean, really, it was just loads and loads of little bits this week, wasn't it? Major achievement though is the broad beans are in, or the first wave of broad beans are in. We'll see how they survive. But the greenhouse is full of tiny little snails, just like wrecking everything. So fingers crossed they survive all right. We have got sunshine. You know, earlier I said that it was blue skies but not sunny. It is now actually sunny. It's a pure joy, absolute pure joy. I can literally feel like my skin and my eyes just like sucking in the brightness like coming through the window. It is wonderful, wonderful. So yes, that is the end of this week. Next week I'm going to finish off the mulching. We've got beds to prepare. Oh, I've got Caval and Nero to go in. So you know when Johanna was up to have soup and then we went to the fireworks, she bought me 2 wonderful things. She bought me a ginger plant, which we're going to keep at home for the moment because it would just be too cold out there. So we haven't decided what we're doing with that yet. And she also bought me another 9 Caval and Nero to go in, and they're really good looking plants. So yeah, they will be going in next week. I think next week though, I'm going to have a bit of a think about planning because I mean, we are getting quite close to the end of November now. So yeah, this isn't much of a cheers. It's like Hannah and I will cheers you in a minute. But yeah, huge thanks as always to the Monday Club, the people who support this vlog on Patreon. They are the names you see at the end. And thank you to everybody else who watches. I'll see you next week.